All right, everyone, your host, Cy Smith, coming to you on a Yellow Tuesday, the fourth Tuesday of the month of October. This year has been a doozy. It's the fourth Tuesday. I know I'm in violation wearing blue on the yellow day, but that makes sense. That would make sense later down the line. I want to come to you guys with an updated perspective. Every second, hopefully, you look at things differently and you keep reassessing every day and seeing whatever you thinking and thought of, if had matches with reality on the ground. Just came back from Chicago. Thank you to our superstars in Gary, Indiana, and Chicago. I hosted the summit there. Cy Lewis, thank you for letting us use your space. We zoomed and we went live, so you guys can watch the PQ&R National Summit on YouTube. So this video here, I wanted to just highlight more of the why, because I think talking to people who never heard about us, it's important that they hear the why more so than the rest of what we do. So here's why we exist. We exist because the violence is at unacceptable levels, been at unacceptable levels for 25 years. We've been working at it. And so please know Black people are in a unique position. The world benefits on keeping us at the base, at the bottom. And for those who don't recognize that, picture the cell phones and the laptop batteries. All of that come from the minerals out of Congo and Africa. So just like the Arab community in the Middle East benefit and got rich off of one thing, which is oil, imagine what Africa could have benefited from one country in Africa, which is Congo, when the whole world needs these cell phone batteries and the laptop batteries. So just know that something happened that allowed the world to get all these cell phones and laptops and Congo still be poor. And what that thing is that happened is structural and systemic racism. The fact that the world needs us to be on the bottom so they can continue to get rich and build up. You can look at it from the hair industry with our Black women, with the Asian community. You can look at it from the corner stores, the gas station, liquor stores, apparel shops, you name it. A lot of Black exploitation takes place, and they need us to stay right where we are so they can continue to do that. So here's what we're doing about it. SSD is an acronym, hopefully you'll write down, stands for structural racism, structural, and I'm talking racism, systemic, we're talking racism, and then D is for distraction. The Black community has been faithful to the Democratic Party, and what our return on that investment has been dismal at best. And so, with anything, if you're investing in something, you should look at what the returns are. So, I'm not saying voting we shouldn't vote, but please know voting is a distraction, because the Asian community isn't nowhere near politically astute and active as the Black community, but yet and still, their communities are not ghettos. You don't see too much exploitation in there. They're close knit, tight knit. They don't let voting separate them. We have Black people not talking to other Black people because they believe in Trump and the others believe in Biden. So we've allowed this distraction of voting to separate us from a system that's taking us out, whether you believe in Trump or not. The system that's extracted from us, whether you believe in Biden or not. So what I'm saying is the voting is a distraction. We should vote, and you should vote because they tax you for everything you do and pay for. They tax you, so you should vote just so that you have a say so in how they're spending your money they're taking from you. So let's get to the structural. And this is a better explanation to me with structural. So structural should be viewed as the makeup. So when you look at a house, is it a husband, wife, and a child, or is it just a mom and a child? That tells you the structure of that household. Structure is the makeup. Structure is the being, the being. And then you look at system. System is the actions, the behavior, what's being done. And so when you think about our community structurally, we've been isolated. And the six enemies working against us is isolation, starvation, exploitation. That's the outside enemy. The inside enemy is hurt, abuse, and bitterness. That's what we do internally with ourselves, why we haven't come together yet. So when you think about isolation, that's the structural racism there, isolation. When I came up in Nashville, they had Blacks in the projects right across from the stadium. Came up through Chattanooga, you got Black people isolated right across from the expressway. That's the isolation. That's what this world has done to us, is to isolate us so that we become easy targets. The first thing the military do against our enemy is we isolate the enemy. So that's what's happened already, the isolation. So now, when we talk about once you're isolated, then you starve them because you got them all by themselves. Now you can do things to them because it's no collateral damage, meaning no one else is going to be impacted but them. So when you talk about starvation, it's easy to starve when you got them all in one place. So for me, when we talk about the systemic racism, it's easy to do things to us, put up all the red light cameras in a certain neighborhood because they know in that neighborhood is only them. Put up all the speeding traps in that area. Set up police roadblocks in that area. Again, whatever you do is easier because structurally we've already isolated. So now we can starve and take their hard-earned money and fees and fines like they did in Ferguson, things of that nature. So again, we as Black people got to know what we up against, and SSD is structural, systemic, and then distraction. So how do we fight past that? What's the solution? The solution is $12. So let's be clear. The solution is every Black person doing $12 a year. That's the solution. Now let me justify that. So when we talk about the isolation, all right, so what are we doing? How can we fight against the isolation threat of Black people? So when I talk about, and this is what's new for me, I'm gonna start speaking about this more. So when I talk about, um, we have retirees, adults, and youth in Black America who are not interacting with each other strategically. Under our philosophy, retired carpenters will interact with adult carpenters in their prime and with children, youth that want to become carpenters. That makes sense. That gives us a sustainability model where we know that retired carpenter is going to help that adult carpenter, the adult carpenter is going to help the youth that want to become a carpenter. For every industry, the retired lawyer help the adult lawyer help the youth lawyer, the nurse, the retired nurse help the adult nurse, adult nurse help the youth nurse. So that's a structural change, you guys. That fights against isolation. So please know if you're ignoring that, that's you're self-isolating. So that's on that side, right? Then we also have the businesses. When you hear me talk about certain businesses being asked to support certain grades, for instance, all barbers, we asking them to help eighth graders out. We asking our beauticians to help fourth graders out. We asking our gas stations to help seventh graders out financially. So why do that? Because we have to not isolate. And when a group or business, I get it all the time, bars, I help everybody out. When you help everybody out, then that means somebody's being left out because you can't help everybody out. So that means we're not covering every base. When we say you got this, you got that, now we can be specific and we can measure. Because if you're a barber shop that say you help everybody out, do you know where all the eighth graders at? No, I just help whoever come to me. That's the loophole. And that's why what we're saying is if you concentrate with us on the eighth graders, we'll make sure we give you a list of the eighth graders. We'll go out and recruit for new eighth graders because we know you as a barber got eighth graders covered, beauticians that have fourth graders covered, car washes have fifth graders covered. What I'm saying is it allows us to be deliberate, intentional, specific versus random and whoever come to me, I help them. See, that random allows the enemy to overwhelm you. You can't handle everybody, so then some people get missed. So that's the structural change from businesses being linked to K through 12th graders. The retirees, adults, and youth being linked together based on their career field. You also hear me talk about the businesses supporting each other. So we have a formation of Black businesses that we want to see support each other. And why does this matter? Because this is a national model. So wherever city we go to, if we get these businesses to align together, then we're guaranteed that these certain grades are going to be covered. And then the grades that's missing, we can go after and be deliberate about recruiting to get those grades covered. So it might sound like a lot of technical stuff, so I don't want to overwhelm you with too much technical, but just know everything I just described to you fights against isolation. And isolation is the key because that's before you starve them, you isolate them. Before you exploit them, you isolate them. And so that's what I wanted to make sure you guys knew. Now, the internal enemy is our hurt, abuse, and bitterness. The HAB, the hurt, abuse, bitterness, what ISC did to us by isolating us, starving us, and exploiting us. We had to fend for ourselves, fight for ourselves, and that allowed certain relationships to deteriorate to the point where I've been hurt. Because I've been hurt, I'm not opening up to trust you no more. Because I've been abused, and because I know you sleeping around with three other people, so I'm not gonna trust anyone else again. Again, attacking trust, and then the bitterness because you never paid for what you did. Now I'm angry, and I'm not gonna trust and open up for no one else. The whole HAB hurts us from coming together. So how do you fight past the hurt, abuse, and bitterness? The first thing is because structurally we've linked every city together. strategically, that means your city is linked somewhere else and people need to get away. Travel is therapeutic. So we need to be able to get people away from their family and friends so that we can treat the hurt, abuse, and bitterness. If you try to treat a crack addict in a crack house, you're asking for trouble. You're asking for that crack addict to go back on crack. So we need to be able to use this anti-isolation plan of being linked to a sister city to be able to get people away. Travel is key for you guys. Travel also deals with the neighborhood in terms of no vibrancy. When I drove through Chicago and Gary, it's like certain areas, it's ghost towns. So when you got vibrancy, that helps people feel more comfortable. They come out, they're willing to spend more money with black businesses that's in the area because they out and about versus being holed up and isolated. So what I just gave you was the real big picture of how we're going to change our neighborhood. So let's recap. SSD is the structural and the systemic and the distractions that's happening to all of us. As a result of that, we have hurt, abuse, and bitterness that's in us. We have to fight past that. Travel is how we're going to fight past that. Travel with strategicness. So if you're a retired nurse and you're traveling, and because we link nurses to Dallas, now you're traveling to Dallas, so that fights against isolation of Dallas and you. That's important. We got to be able to do that. So that's a big part of it. Then we also got the retirees, adults, and youth. So because that youth now know that their elder do care about me every Friday senior day, that makes that alignment better, fights against isolation again. So everything I just described goes toward the SSD, structural, systemic, and then the distraction. We vote, we do say vote. We just saying that don't think that voting alone is going to fix our neighborhood. So that's the key there. The isolation, starvation, and exploitation, we're going to fight that by getting your $12 so that it's money for travel in there. We're going to use that money to make sure that the kindergartners have kindergarten awards, first grade awards, eighth grade awards. Those awards paid for by those businesses will make the parents feel more compelled to go and spend money with them businesses because they see them giving back to the neighborhood. See how all that, the restructure that fights against isolation, how all that ties us back together. And then we release the money. So now the money is keeping everyone um, uh, vibrant, hopeful, not starving, not getting more bitter because they don't have money to wash their clothes, things of that nature. So that's the solution, you guys. At the end of the day, if we don't circulate the $12 a year, the $1 a month, whatever the good plan is, it can't operate. It's like having a brand new car with no gas in it, not going nowhere. My number is 312 area code 405-8844, 312-405-8844. The website is www.nationalblockclubuniversity.com, www.nationalblockclubuniversity.com. We need you. We need to tell everyone you know, family and friends, like it's past time. We have the structure, we had a system. It's go time. Thank you for watching. Peace.